day and night. I toss and turn, I keep stressing my mind.
What's happening, guys? Victor here with a brand new video. Now in this video I really want to focus on what the UFC's plans are going forward after this week is finally over. Now we do have 3 fights in a 7 days period. UFC 249, then the UFC Fight Night Part 2, which happened last night with Glover versus Anthony Smith, and then there's UFC Fight Night in Jacksonville Part 3, which will be going down this Saturday, the main event, Walt Harris versus Alistair Overeem. And that should be another great card of fights, definitely helping the UFC get back to normalcy, especially during the wake of this COVID-19 period. Now, I really want to talk about what's going to happen after Saturday. The UFC does plan on going back to Las Vegas, and I do know that they have to go down with UFC 250. I believe the UFC won't have any events going on next week, and I think they'll just do it for the week after, just because there's not that many fighters that are slated to be on that card right now. I think there might be a total of 5 fights that are official for UFC 250. So there's that question, and then there's another question of where's the UFC 250 going to be at. Now, I know that there are a couple places at mine, and I'll just tell you guys which ones that I think could possibly be those venues for UFC 250. Now, for the first one, the UFC can always go back to Florida, and either basically the whole entire state is open for them to use. They can either go back to Jacksonville, they can go to Tampa Bay, they can go to Miami, they can go to Fort Lauderdale, they can go to a lot of places in Florida because Florida is a large state and they have a lot of arenas that can be able to host UFC fights, especially without the fans. Now, if they don't want to go back to Florida, it's completely understandable, just because they've been through a whole lot during this week in Florida. Another place that they can actually host fights at is obviously the UFC Apex facility in Las Vegas, Nevada. Dana White's hinted several times, if not many times, that he's really trying to go back to Nevada. He's trying to go back to Vegas and host fights there. There is the UFC Apex facility, which basically opened up in 2019, and it had some of his first couple of action with Dana White's Contender Series Season 3. Those fights did take place in the UFC Apex facility, and Dana White stated many times that the UFC Apex was literally built to host fights, just like the ones that have been going on this whole entire week. But the only problem is that the UFC needs to reach an agreement with the Nevada State Athletic Commission to see if they can be able to host any fights. As you all know, Nevada is basically still shut down. The majority of Las Vegas is shut down, restaurants, casinos, etc. Even the gyms are shut down, so there's a lot of limited opportunities for the UFC to go down with this, especially if they don't reach an agreement with Las Vegas. If they don't, they're going to have to look for yet another place to host their events, and this is where the third one comes in, Arizona. Now, apparently Arizona is supposed to open the whole entire state up this Friday. Restaurants are going to be open, retail stores are going to be open, gyms are going to be open, and so are professional sports leagues. Any professional sporting event can happen in Arizona. This is the MLB, this is the NHL, the NBA, NFL, all these different sporting organizations with professional athletes can host events in Arizona. This is by word of the governor, and this is going to happen after this Friday. So the UFC can actually go to Arizona if they wanted to. I know they've hosted many events in Arizona before, especially in Glendale and Phoenix, Arizona. So if they want to, they can try to reach an agreement with the Arizona State Athletic Commission to see if they can host any fights over there. Arizona is connected to Nevada, so it wouldn't be such a long drive to get all the equipment, to get the octagon over to Arizona. It can either be held in Glendale, it can be held in Phoenix, or it can even be held in Tucson, Arizona, any of those 3 cities. And I think they would be amazing venues for the UFC to actually host some of their events. And also, there's a possibility that the UFC can even reach an agreement with with somebody over in California. I know they were trying to do UFC 250 on an Indian reservation, so maybe they can try to do that once again in California. I know it's not a lengthy drive to get all that equipment and everything over there. I believe it's maybe 4 or 5 hours at the max. So UFC can actually try to do that as well. But those are basically all the places that I think that the UFC can actually go to. I know more states are opening back up as the weeks go on, but it's definitely an interesting situation just because of the situation that we're in right now. I would like Dana to stay back in Florida just because Florida's been treating them very well. The fights have been going very well lately. But if you want to go back to Vegas, then obviously can't stop him because I don't work for the company or anything like that. But these are just a couple of suggestions that I'm just throwing out. And if things really don't work out in Nevada, I think your second best choice would to go to Arizona. You know, I believe that they'll receive the same fair treatment and all the benefits that Florida has given them over in Arizona, and I think they'll be able to throw some amazing fights there until Fight Island is ready. But for me, I honestly don't believe that Fight Island is going to happen. I believe that the majority of the states will be opening back up, especially opening up their gyms and professional facilities and a multitude of states before Dana White gets Fight Island ready. And apparently, Fight Island will probably be ready by early July, late June at the latest. So we shall see what happens if Fight Island becomes available by that time period. But I don't believe it will. I believe more states are going to open up as they are. So we'll see what happens. Things are really getting interested, but I trust Dana. And I trust Hunter Campbell, and I trust the whole entire UFC team that they can be able to get things prepared and ahead of schedule and be able to throw even better cards than what we have right now. This is just because the majority of the fighters that are fighting on these 3 cards during this 7-day span period are just short notice fighters. All these fighters have taken these fights on short notice, which is why some of these fighters have been competing in a weight class higher than their original weight intended, just because they can't be able to drop all that weight down on a week and a half. So especially when it takes fighters a whole entire training camp just to get that weight down. So like I said, it's going to be interesting, but no one really knows what's going to happen. Those are just a couple of suggestions that I really wanted to throw out there for you guys, and hopefully you guys have some other suggestions. And if you do, just leave a comment down in the comment section, and it'll be interesting to see what you guys have to say. So I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Hopefully the UFC can keep things rolling, especially with the fight card that they got on Saturday, and I'll see you guys soon. Stay safe, stay blessed.